Everyone's thinking that the Dodgers are going to roll over the Toronto Blue Jays in this World Series, but is it as one-sided as people are saying? What's up, everybody, and welcome into Bad for Baseball. I'm your host, Nicholas Playlog, joined alongside by Adam Peddle. We're going to be doing a little quick mini World Series breakdown right here, and I want to let all you guys know, if you're watching this channel for the first time, just be aware and understand, we are Toronto Blue Jays fans at heart. We actually run an entire podcast dedicated to the Toronto Blue Jays, so we know that team better than anyone. We are now learning about the LA Dodgers, and they are good at a lot of things, and I do want to be clear, I do think that they should be the favorites, but maybe it's a little closer than some people are admitting. We're going to break it all down, so if you're enjoying this content, hit that like, smash that subscribe button. We were looking over at the odds the other day, negative 220
and
for
I remember,
the LA Dodgers.
And I remember you were saying, like, negative 200 seems like too much. Like, you know, that's too much respect, and it was even more respectful than that. And the Blue Jays, you know, they're at plus 184, right? And so if you're a Blue Jay fan, you're thinking, wow, like, this almost feels like it's too good for your money, but it's because how good the Dodgers have been. I mean, when you look at what they just did against the Milwaukee Brewers, sweeping them in 4, only allowing 4 runs, 1 per game in the entire series, you have to give a lot of credit to that starting pitching staff, which was carrying the entire Dodgers team. And that's really the bread and butter, the recipe for success for this Dodger team. I mean, forget the lineup they have, which has already been pretty good. Not as good as the Jays, but like pretty good, pretty damn good. That pitching staff was just phenomenal.
Yes, it was truly spectacular. And again, Milwaukee was a phenomenal offense too in their own right. This is not like a slouch of a team here. Okay, you walk over, you roll over the Cincinnati Reds, but then you beat the ever-living crap out of the Phillies, and then you do the exact same thing to the Milwaukee Brewers, who a lot of people are looking at as maybe the most complete, fundamentally built baseball team. Looking over here at all of their player performances on the pitching side of things, Blake Snell has been insane, and I know that we've had a bit of a discourse about this before, but Blake Snell goes through these highs and go through these lows. The lows are like he's kind of a below average pitcher sometimes, and we've seen that in his career, but the highs are, I am Cy Young caliber, I am top 3 guy in baseball when I'm on the bump, and you are seeing that high right now out of him. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, when he was initially signed by those LA Dodgers, getting over $300 million, never once pitching in MLB, a lot of people, myself included, were thinking, I mean, this is a big-time gamble. Yes, he's been great in Japan, but can that translate? Spoiler, yeah, it can translate pretty good. And then, of course, Tyler Glasnow, his stuff is amazing. And Shohei Ohtani in the final game of that Milwaukee Brewers series, just putting insult to injury, twisting the knife a little bit, and having the greatest, maybe not even just baseball game, but like I would say top 5 greatest sports games of all time ever.
Yeah,
right. Like
some people were even arguing it's the best,
and that's I could see that. I could see that.
You know, people are comparing it to hockey. Shout out Canadians. And it's like, okay, what's the comparison here? That's like if you just like put up a hat trick and then also win a net and performed a shutout.
Yeah,
you know, it's like that's crazy.
You have to drop 7 goals or something, I think, to even like match the WAR.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like I actually don't know, and that's what makes it one of the greatest games of all time. 3 home runs and going 6 scoreless. So that guy has been a demon. This Toronto Blue Jays offense is very, very good, but they clearly have their work cut out for them.
Yeah, they do. And, like, if I'm going to give the strength to the Dodgers, it would be the pitching staff, and the strength to the Blue Jays would be this offense. I mean, the offense is truly stupid. They actually have the highest weighted runs created plus since the wild card was introduced back in 1995 of any postseason team. So, like, if any team's going to go up against this juggernaut starting pitching staff by the Dodgers, it should be one of the best offenses in the last 30 years. Looking over at the Blue Jays offense, my goodness, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has proven to everybody why he deserved $500 million this past April. He's got an OPS of 1.440, batting average of 442, and then, of course, 12 RBIs, like literally driving in a run every game. That's why he won the ALCS MVP. And it's not just guys like the superstars like Vladimir Guerrero Jr., you're getting contributions from guys up and down the lineup. Ernie Clement 18 hits, only one behind the ALCS MVP. He's got a 1.0 OPS. Nathan Lucas is almost touching 800. Dalton Varsho at 804. Springer with the massive moment in Game 7, 930 OPS, 889 for Barzher. And then you're looking at these like kind of weaker guys like Jimenez down in the 9th spot with a 764. Like everybody's finding a way to do something. They have the lowest strikeout rate of anybody in all of baseball, and it got even lower when you're going into the postseason. Their slug has gone through the roof, better than they had in the regular season. The question is, can they beat this Dodger pitching? I think it's got to come down to a couple factors here. If I'm the Blue Jays, there's not a chance I'm letting myself get behind 0-2 against a lot of these Dodger hitters, or pitchers, excuse me. Because if I'm down 0-2, they've got some nasty stuff. I don't want to even flirt with trying to sit on 3-4 different pitches that can get me out. I'd much rather be aggressive early, and that's what they showed in this Seattle series. They're aggressive early, and if they can go and get base hits and start working that pitcher deeper, they might be able to get to that bullpen to give themselves a chance.
Yes, yeah. I mean, they have some nasty put-away stuff, and you do need to manage to get to that Dodgers bullpen because if there was any, minor weakness to this team in terms of the pitching staff, I guess it's like some of those middle relievers that they have. This is, of course, assuming that you can manage to get somebody like Yamamoto out at the 4th inning, which nobody's been capable of doing so far this postseason. So, again, Toronto's going to have their work cut out for them, and I do believe that ultimately, like, that's why you're seeing the reflection in those odds going so heavily towards the LA Dodgers. I also believe that we do need to not completely forget here about that lineup featuring Freeman and featuring Betts and Ohtani. And like Ohtani, for a large part of this postseason run, offensively speaking, wasn't really getting it going. And then he has that 3-home-run game, and it's like, okay, well, there's Shohei Ohtani. That's the swing. And now this is what he's going to be, I guess, riding into the World Series. But at any given moment of time, like, this lineup could immediately explode on you, right? Like, you can make a strong argument. I know that Cal Raleigh was, probably going to get MVP votes, maybe could be the MVP of the American League, but, Will Smith is arguably just as good when it comes to hitting as a catcher, and that's just another one of those guys that they have in the middle of that lineup. So whilst Toronto's offense has definitely been playing better than LA, like, pound for pound on paper, when you just look at the name value, like, LA's guys have name value.
And they're also going up against a Blue Jays pitching staff that really isn't, lighting the world on fire at all. So, like, they could easily, the Dodgers line be dropping runs at will against the Blue Jays pitching staff. Overall in this playoffs, the bullpen, I'm talking about their bullpen being weak, but, like, the Blue Jays got a weak bullpen too. 5.52 ERA in the playoffs with an even worse FIP of 5.70. So you could argue they're even getting a little bit lucky. They've struggled with the walks, and they struggled with the home runs in the postseason. Yeah, it's not too good. Like, they really only have a couple guys like Louis Varland in the middle innings with a 372. Obviously Hoffman's just turned it on another level, but effectively that's it for the Blue Jays relievers. So Dodgers could easily put up runs. So I think, like, on that standpoint, the Blue Jays and the Dodgers are somewhat evenly matched. Blue Jays maybe a slight advantage when it comes to, like, our lineup versus your bullpen. The big question will be coming down to, like, can the Blue Jays get starting pitching like they got in that Seattle series to limit that other team and give themselves a chance to win?
Yeah, because I can safely say that, pound for pound, some of those other teams that the Dodgers were up against, like the Phillies and the Milwaukee Brewers, for instance, they have better pitching than the Jays have. Milwaukee and Philadelphia. They do. And so you could make a strong argument to me that it's like, okay, well, the Dodgers lineup, whilst they haven't been playing as good as the Toronto Blue Jays, maybe that's a product a little bit of that Brewers pitching staff or that Phillies pitching staff. Toronto doesn't have that luxury, and whilst they do have the ace in Kevin Gausman, and I do think that Kevin Gausman can go toe-to-toe with just about anyone, maybe not, the way Blake Snell's pitching right now, but he can go toe-to-toe with pretty much anyone here. After that, though, there is a significant fall-off here for the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, all of you are probably wondering, you guys started this thing off saying this could be closer than expected, and you're just glazing the Dodgers, which is true, but I saw this last night, and this actually instilled me with a lot of confidence because there is another factor here, and that's called momentum. And whilst the LA Dodgers, whilst they had a lot of momentum and they absolutely beat the ever-living shit out of the Milwaukee Brewers, they've been chilling a little bit. And I'm sure that they've been doing some warm-ups and, trying to stay loose. But it's not the same as going to a Game 7.
Yeah.
There's actually a stat behind this here.
I saw this too. This actually gave me a shitload of confidence.
Yeah, and I think that this is the one thing that as a Jays fan right now, like I'm going to hang my hat on and go, okay, look, we don't have the pitching. You could argue we have the offense, maybe. We don't have the bullpen either. But, the one thing that we do have is that teams that came off a 7-game championship series, so that's going to Game 7, they are 4-0 against teams that advanced by sweeping in the World Series.
You've been off for a week.
Exactly.
That's a long time.
Exactly. And you'd think that that's a crazy shock, and it is kind of a shocking stat because, well, theoretically, a team that swept should be playing better than the team that goes to Game 7. But I do think that there is that element of you've been off for literally the entire All-Star break now. Like, you've been chilling.
More than that.
You've been at home with your family, with your kids. I mean, you could have taken a whole vacation for all I know and come back and still play the World Series. So there is an element of Toronto Blue Jays, little bit warmer. I don't want to say hotter, but warmer right now than the LA Dodgers. And we'll see if that plays into any of this.
Well, that's the thing, right? Maybe the Blue Jays are warm, the Dodgers were hot, and they just fell down to warm, and now they're both warm. You know what I mean? We'll see what it is. And also, too, home field advantage for the Toronto Blue Jays, which all year long they have been the best home team in all of baseball. I believe it's all of baseball. It could be just the AL. But, like, that's a significant factor as well. And it's Canada and Toronto in the World Series. When that dome closed, it's going to be absolutely unreal. I mean, if you guys watched that ALCS, you saw how unreal it got in Game 6 and Game 7. So with all that being said, let's look at the schedule here and do a little bit of predictions. Now, obviously, the pitching rotations, we can kind of just guess based on what happened in the ALCS. But what are you thinking for this series right now? For the first 2 games, what are you expecting to happen here in Toronto?
Well, I think that LA is very good. I think it's unlikely, though, that they're going to come in and they're going to sweep Toronto in those 2 games. And I would also argue it's pretty unlikely that Toronto would do the same to them. So I'm thinking ultimately that this is going to be a 1-1 in Toronto. I think that Toronto is going to find a way to claw and to get one. Maybe even that Game 1 because, well, if you're LA, you got to warm up a little bit and you got to get in that rhythm, right? And you haven't been doing that for a little while, whereas Toronto, like they played 4 days ago, right? So maybe Toronto wins Game 1. And then LA's kind of, okay, now they're in their rhythm a little bit. They stumbled in Game 1, and then in Game 2, they bounce back and kind of punch Toronto back.
I could believe that. Yamamoto up against probably Trey Savage in that Game 2. That feels like a mismatch. Savage,
but that is way one-sided.
And I get, like, Blake's, basically they're all mismatches, with the Dodgers rotation versus the Blue Jays. But, yeah, with that factor of being cold, I'm going to take that in. Then you take an off day, you go back to L.A. You get 3 games down there. I'm going to give L.A. a hell of a lot of credit. I'm going to say they take 2 of 3 here.
Yeah.
The Blue Jays went over to L.A., I think it was in August, early August.
Yeah. And
they took 2 of 3.
2 of 3. Yeah.
Or no, they took 1 of 3.
Yes.
Dodgers took 2
Dodgers
of 3.
took 2 of 3 right there. And I'm gonna go with you as well there. I find it hard to believe, again, as much as I am a Toronto Blue Jays fan and I would love to see them do it, going into LA with the pitching matchups the way that they are, like that's really where you're gonna see the difference, I think, in the pitching matchups. I could see Trey Savage going crazy. I could definitely see Kevin Gausman going crazy. I mean, Max Scherzer's had his moments, but again, it's still, he is an older gentleman, and he has had some rough outings. Shane Bieber has not looked phenomenal. It's who knows? Maybe it'll be Kevin Gausman again on Game 5 with some bullpen pitchers. Either way, I like the Dodgers pitching a lot better there, so I'll say that they take 2. They're up 3-2, heading back to Toronto. Now, a lot of people are thinking it's going to be Dodgers in 6. I'm going to give Toronto a little bit of credit here, and I do think that even though I am still going to inevitably pick the LA Dodgers to win this series, I do think that it's going to be closer than people expect, and I think that it's going to be Dodgers in 7.
Yeah, I thought about it a while. For initially, I said Dodgers in 6, but now, like, looking at the teams, looking at everything, looking at the stats in the past, like, they're going to force a Game 7. Blue Jays force a Game 7 at the Rogers Center. It's going to be absolutely lit. I really do hope, for obviously my fandom, the Blue Jays can pull it off, make magic happen yet again in a Game 7 in Canada, in Toronto. But I got to give all the respect to what the LA Dodgers have built. That's my honest prediction. Game 7. I don't even think it's that far off. People might be thinking, wow, Game 7, like, Dodgers won't be that bad. Look at what we just talked about, right? Yeah. The Achilles heel versus your Achilles heel. I think it's going to be a lot more even with the momentum. Dodgers 7. Good job,
And
Dodgers.
also, again, I could see a reality where Dodgers just come in and spank the ever-living crap. Whereas, and if I'm being completely honest, I don't see that reality for the Jays.
No,
no. I just, can you actually genuinely picture something where Toronto wins in 4 or 5?
4-1. Yeah, like
that just doesn't seem.
I can't picture that.
I actually can't see that. Whereas LA, I could. I don't think it's going to happen, but I could.
But if that did happen, the Blue Jays did that. I mean, again, I'm a Blue Jays fan. Genuinely surprised, best season ever, best team of all time in Blue Jays history.
By
Incredible.
a wide margin, would be a 100% shook. But folks, let us know your thoughts about all this in the comments down below. Do you agree with us that this is going to be a little bit closer than people are saying, or do you think that this is just going to be LA all the way and another boring World Series like it was last year? Because let's call a spade a spade. Last year's World Series sucked. The most entertaining part about it was that 5th inning with Garrett Cole and Anthony Rizzo. I don't want that to be.
But the Blue Jays aren't that. They're not like that. They got great defense.
Yeah.
And also, we didn't even throw us in. Well, we didn't even talk about it. Bo Bichette could be back. Could be a factor.
Should be back. Fingers crossed right there, and maybe could be a factor. But folks, let us know your thoughts about all this in the comments down below. Hit that like, smash that subscribe button, everybody. We will catch you next time.
Cheers.